Hey everybody, William Wallace here, William Wallace for America. As you know, I've been traveling around our state talking to our elected officials on the constitutional amendments. And today I'm with another senator here in Louisiana who I'm introducing in just a second, talking about his constitutional amendment. And I'll just go ahead and introduce him now. This is Senator Mark Abraham, District 25 in Lake Charles, and his constitutional amendment is number 5. Senator, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Well, as you know, I want people to be informed about what's going on. I'm going to switch over on my page here real quick to go to what the constitutional amendment says. When you get to the voting booth, you're going to see 7 constitutional amendments. And your eyes are going to be rolling and glazed over, and you're going to have to drink a lot of coffee to get through it if you don't know what they mean, and that's what these videos are for. So when you get into the booth, you're going to see Constitutional Amendment number 5, which says, do you support an amendment to authorize local governments to enter into cooperative endeavor ad valorem tax exemption agreements, I'm tired already, with new or expanding manufacturing establishments for payment in lieu of taxes? It's a bit confusing, so that's why I'm bringing on Senator Mark Abraham to explain this bill, so that way when you get to it, you can see just how good it is. Senator, thank you very much for coming on again. When people get into the voting booth, is there a title that they're going to read, or what will they see? They're going to see what I just read, but I want to explain, I guess, when they get in there, what's the best way to understand this?
You know, a lot of people, when they read an amendment, if they don't understand it, they might just vote no. Okay, so it's very important that they understand this. And when you look at the latter part of that amendment, it says payment in lieu of taxes. That does not mean that an industry is going to pay something up front and pay no taxes in the future. That is not what that does. It says that they'll pay some money up front and have a reduction in taxes in the future. So don't let the payment in lieu of taxes confuse you that industry is getting some big break. This is not the purpose of the bill.
It's not, the purpose is not to give an industry a break on it. It's a way to find another way to have them involved in our community.
Yes, the purpose of the bill is really to help local government. When I say local government, I mean your parish government, your city government, your school board. That's the purpose of the bill. And we did it because we want it to be a tool in their tool chest. So let me give you an example. A school board says, we need $1 million new library. We don't have any money right now, but a new industry has located in our parish, and they're paying no property taxes because they have an industrial tax exemption. The state gives industrial tax exemptions to local industry to incentivize them to come there.
So that's already in place.
Correct.
So this bill does not put that in place. That's already in place.
That's correct.
This bill actually takes it a step further to help local parishes or governments.
Correct. So going back to my example, that school board says, I need $1 million for a library. They go to this new industry and say, industry, can you give me that $1 million now so I can build my new library? And in return, in year 11, when you start paying property taxes, you're going to pay a reduction. So that's what it does. There's no formula that makes the industry and the school board participate. It's whatever they negotiate to do. And if that industry wants to do it, they're not going to give you money up front for the same amount of money in year 11, because $1 million in year 1 is not the same as $1 million in year 11. So they're going to discount their dollars for the time usage of their money. So the industry hopefully is a win-win. They're not putting up money up front. They're getting a less discount. The local government wins because they get money up front to build a badly needed project that they would need.
Otherwise, the local government would be waiting till year 11 to get anything.
Correct.
And now they're getting some money up front.
Up front.
So this is a way for businesses having more skin in the game. They're more dedicated to our communities. They're helping build our communities, and they're helping governments in a way that essentially help the people of that.
Industry or any big business, they want to be good corporate citizens. So they probably would like to give something to put their name on it, or to help out their local government. But in return, they're a business. they have to get a little discount
Yeah.
for doing that up front.
It-
And that's basically what my bill does.
When we met, and I want to tell people listen to this. So this is actually another good piece of information. When we first met, and talking about this bill, which is now a constitutional amendment, you said something. A good bill is
Hard to pass.
okay,
And I learned that.
and that's not what it sounds like.
No, that's
so when
correct.
you explain it,
When I first became a legislator, they gave that statement, a good bill is hard to pass. Now, what does that mean? That means a good bill has to be vetted, might be some details that everyone has to understand. It might be a little complicated, but it's good. So you have to understand all parts. Each legislator has to understand all parts in order to vote for it. So that's why they say a good bill that has a lot of moving parts sometimes is difficult to pass, because you have to understand every facet of it.
and you have to make it to where everybody can understand it and also be involved.
And that's why on this amendment, when you read it, don't be scared of the language. Okay? Understand that it's only a tool for local governments to get badly needed money up front for a project that your community needs. In return, that business gets some discount 11 years later. That is that bill again in a nutshell.
So it sounds like you brought a lot of there's a lot of people that understand this. Are the businesses, are business organizations in support of this?
Yeah, you have Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, LAB. They were in support of this bill. You'll have most of your Chamber of Commerces all across the state are in favor of this bill. So I think it's, again, it's not something that is forced on industry.
Yeah.
It's not something that's forced on government.
Yeah.
It's if they can work something out, fine. If they cannot work something out, if I need that new library and we cannot work it out, it doesn't happen.
This sounds very interesting because a business is not forced to do anything that they don't want to do. So they have their freedom and their liberty and their, to be able to operate as a business. And a government isn't forcing anybody to do anything. This is actually sounds like a state incentive that brings businesses and local governments together in a positive way for the communities.
Exactly. It's a win-win for both sides, and that's what's really important. There's no formula that someone has to follow in this. Louisiana Economic Development people will have a seat at the table. Your local government can hire whatever consultant they want to have a seat at the table. Your tax assessor will have a seat at the table. Everybody will have a seat at the table when you're negotiating with the industry to make sure it's a fair and good deal for both parties.
Did you come up with this idea, or did somebody ask you to run this bill?
This bill has been tried in the House for a number of years. It's failed. Okay, yeah. I ran that bill my last year as a state representative. I passed it out of the House. When it came to the Senate, it failed. This time I said, well, since I'm a senator now, let's start in the Senate first.
Yeah.
And I convinced the senators that it was a good bill, and we went on to the House and it passed.
So what I'm hearing is that at the times before, it was a bad bill. It wasn't a good bill being hard to pass. So you've learned what it took to have something that's perfected. And it sounds to me like sometimes a perfect bill is after years of trying and figuring out what it takes to be a perfect bill.
Now, in order to be a constitutional amendment, you have to pass a high hurdle. You have to pass with 2/3 vote in each house, 2/3 in the Senate, 2/3 in the House. That's why it becomes difficult. So this bill got the 2/3 vote in the Senate and the House. So the majority of the legislators were supportive of this bill.
That's why I said it sounds like you went through the trials and tribulations to get it to be a bill that deserved to make it as a constitutional amendment, and that probably deserves to be passed in our state to bring business and industry together. What are the net benefits for local businesses and local governments? Is there a net benefit for each one?
Well, the net benefit is what I mentioned earlier. The industry becomes a good corporate citizen, and the industry might have, from a pure monetary standpoint, might have a little benefit by paying money up front and a discount on the end. They might have a little bit less financial obligation on their side. But in return, that local government, gets that badly needed road that they've been working on for years and do not have the money, or a school building that they haven't been able to complete. So that's the benefits on both sides.
I like that. Like I said, so it's a way. It's like I said, it's a way to bring everybody to the table. So what's confusing about some of these amendments and bills is when you go into the voting booth, you don't know if a vote for it is actually for it, or if a vote against it's against, really for it. How so? You can explain that. Is a vote for it?
A vote for this amendment allows your local government and industry to have a win-win situation. That's what it does. So you should vote for this amendment because it's going to help your community.
A vote for it is a vote for local business and local industry and local government to be able to come together to help create more jobs for Louisiana.
Correct.
I like that. So when people go to the voting booth, we're going to ask people to vote for it. It's Constitutional Amendment number 5. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any last words?
No, just spread it to your neighbors. If you've heard this program here, explain that this is going to help your local government. It's also going to be incentive for your local industry to take part in this, and spread the word that it might sound complicated, but it's really a good bill.
Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Again, share the video, let everybody know about it, and please tune in to more videos with me, William Wallace for America, and we're also going to do another one here in just a minute with Senator Mark Abraham about him and his district and the needs of Lake Charles.